So guys, one of the new flagship reels from DAIWA, made in Japan, is the new Airity LT, and of course this reel needs some explanation because there are so many new technologies and features inside, that it is very important to know why such a reel is such a considerably higher price compared to other models. But technology in these reels and material used is really outstanding and giving an extraordinary power tool to you. So the new Airity LT is basically a very lightweight reel constructed with the new AIRDRIVE concept. The AIRDRIVE concept is a new technology combination from DAIWA that incorporates different points, and the Airity has basically four main pillars among the AIRDRIVE concept. One is the new AIRDRIVE rotor, which has less weight compared to the previous rotor constructions and reduces the weight in the front unit. In addition, you have an AIRDRIVE hollow bale, which is also lighter compared to the previous air bale, but giving the same strengths and same functionality as the previous air bale. Then you have an AIRDRIVE spool, which is slightly changed in shape, which is lighter compared to the previous models, and have a different casting lip with a different angle, and by this angle you have less resistance once the line is running out from the spool, and you reach longer casting distances, which can be a very, very important point once fish are far out and you need to get exact point to catch some fish. So sometimes casting distance can make a big difference between catching and fishing. Then, in addition to those 3 points, AIRDRIVE rotor, AIRDRIVE spool and AIRDRIVE hollow bale, this reel also incorporates the AIRDRIVE shaft. The shaft is basically the axis where the spool is positioned on, and the AIRDRIVE shaft has basically a zero contact structure. This means moving of the shaft among the gearing inside is with the lowest contact positions possible, and therefore this shaft moves very, very easily and freely inside the gearing up and down and gives you less resistance once winding. By reducing the weight in the front unit, the basic balance of the reel is coming to the rear end. And this gives you a big advantage once fishing with lighter rods or with longer rods, because the balance of your setup is moved to the rear and you feel very well the casting of the feeling of your lure on the bottom, and you detect much easier some of the bites. In addition, by reducing the weight of the rotor, the spinning of the rotor also becomes much easier, much lighter, without power, and gives you better sensibility and better feeling once fishing for a long period. So even after several hours you become less tired. This reel is of course made in Japan. As I said, the body is made of magnesium material, which is extremely light but also extremely solid. And a solid body is a key function to have the gearing inside basically without any movement. Once the body is somehow softer and once you have a lot of pressure once fishing, many times the inner gearing is shifting a little bit in the body, and even hundredths of millimeters can make a big difference between a smooth gearing and kind of gearing that makes some crack sound and starts being noisy. Then this reel has also 2 other additional very important DAIWA technologies. One is the Monocoque construction. In the past, normal reel bodies, basically a body cap was screwed in by screws on the main body and needs a lot of space for the cavity for screwing in. And then the gearing, the drive gear, was quite small. By using this construction and using monocoque features, the main gear inside means the drive gear can be used in bigger sizes, and by using a bigger drive gear you can use a lower gear ratio and have the same retrieve. And the lower the gear ratio, the longer lasts the gearing. The higher the gear ratio, the easier the gearing is worn out because you have more teeth. Once you have less teeth, one out of gearing happens not that often as with higher gear ratios. And in addition to the monocoque body construction and to the AIRDRIVE construction. This reel also features the so-called MagSealed function. MagSealed function is basically a sealed shaft, and by the sealed shaft it is avoided that water or salt residues or dust are intruding into the reel body by the main shaft. And once you have less parts or less water intruding into the main body, the longer is the lifetime of your reel or of your gearing, because once water comes inside the reel body, usually corrosion starts, and corrosion is the biggest enemy of any gearing. So once you are really heading out for a top grade reel that will give you a very long-term pleasure on fishing and will give you one of the best performances you could imagine, then you should check the new Airity reels. Please also check, depending on the model, there are some models called PC. PC stands for Power Custom. And Power Custom means the reel body here is one size bigger than for a normal LT reel. And once you have the bigger body, of course you can also use the bigger drive gear, and therefore Power Custom, because the reel then is even stronger than a normal reel. So once you really need or looking for a very, very strong reel, check out for the Power Custom models of Airity LT. Of course, Airity reels are completely made in Japan and feature, in addition to what I explained to you now, most of the latest DAIWA technology developed by our headquarters in Japan.